Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth module of Ppt 200 Professional Ethics. So far, we have studied several theories and principles which are required for an engineering professional. In this module, we will learn about the responsibilities and rights of engineers. Engineering professionals are committed to carrying out some unique responsibilities to both their profession and society. Their responsibility to their employers and clients is termed as internal responsibilities, and their responsibilities as a skilled and ethical professional who contributes to the welfare of the society are termed as external responsibilities. There are some values that are common for both internal and external responsibilities, including collegiality, loyalty, respect for authority, etc. Now we look at each one of them. Let's look at the term collegiality. The people who work together in an organization are known as colleagues. These colleagues are supposed to maintain a harmony among themselves for the smooth conduct of the organization. Collegiality is the connectedness among the employees. The colleagues are supposed to respect each other and must value the contributions of each member. Collegiality will ensure a highly productive and positive work environment. According to National Society of Professional Engineers (NSPE), collegiality includes certain characteristics, and these characteristics are: an engineer must not harm other engineers directly or indirectly. An engineer should not unnecessarily criticize the work of other engineer. And an engineer should report the unethical actions to the authority immediately. Therefore, when we analyze collegiality, the central elements of collegiality are respect, commitment, and connectedness. An engineer is supposed to respect others. The engineer must have commitment to their profession and must be aware that they are connected among themselves while working in a firm. Loyalty is very important as far as professionals are concerned. A professional must be loyal to the organization in which he or she works. Loyalty is a devotion and commitment towards the organization, and high employee loyalty will result in the increase of production. The employee will be loyal to the authority when his or her works are valued and appreciated. It will encourage the employee to perform to the highest standards. This will in turn increase the overall productivity and growth of the firm. An engineer must not be following the duties only to please his or her employer, but he should be committed to the profession and must work for the betterment of the society. There are two senses of loyalty. The first one is agency loyalty and second one is identification loyalty. So first let's look at agency loyalty. The agency loyalty will help the professional to perform their duties under all circumstances. The person with agency loyalty will perform his duties in a profession as long as he or she is an employee, even if he or she dislikes the job. But identification loyalty is different. The employee who shows loyalty to his firm due to his personal attachment and commitment towards the job and employer is known as identification loyalty. And the practice of loyalty includes avoiding conflicts, protecting confidential information, admitting errors, practicing honesty, etc. Now let's look at managing conflicts. Conflicts are very common in an organization. The difference of opinions and decisions will result in a conflict between the employees. This conflict will be visible among the employees of the same level and between the employee and the authority. The difference in background, culture, and opinions results in conflicts. These conflicts can be managed by training oneself to respect and listen to others' opinions. The authority can play a role in managing the conflicts by asking for an explanation of the cause of the dispute. Based on the explanation provided, the authority can take actions to manage the conflicts.
Brainstorming for solutions and reaching a final solution is yet another step to manage conflicts. The conflict with the authority can be managed by understanding the expectations of the superiors and by working accordingly. Open discussions and expressions of difficulties is yet another way to solve the conflict. Respect for authority. The respect for authority is very important for the smooth functioning of an organization. The authority is responsible for the welfare of a firm. They must ensure that everybody in the organization is working as per the norms. The authority can be classified into two: expert authority and executive authority. The expert authority is responsible to give advice and guidelines for the performance of a particular task. This authority will have specific knowledge on an area and will lead the employees with this knowledge. On the other hand, executive or institutional authority exercises power and gives guidelines based on the resources of an organization.
Authority is different from power. Let's look at the difference between these two terms. Authority is the legal right of a superior to make the employees do certain tasks. But on the other hand, power may not have legal sanction, but it is the ability to motivate others to do work. And authority is delegated to an individual by a superior, whereas power is not delegated, rather it is earned by an individual through personal efforts. Authority will change with the change in position, but power depends on the individual and power does not change with the change in position.
Collective bargaining refers to a negotiation which takes place between the employees and the authority regarding the payment of wages, hiring practices, layoffs, working conditions, working hours, etc. The process of collective bargaining can be summarized into three steps. The first step is presenting the demands. And after presenting the demands, there will be a negotiation and discussion. And that will lead to an agreement.
Collective bargaining can be found in three different forms. The first form is the bargaining between a single employer and a single union. This form of collective bargaining is known as single plan bargaining. Workers were bargaining to a single employer through different unions is known as multiple plans bargaining. All the unions belonging to the same industry bargaining with the employers' federation is known as multiple employer bargaining. Agents of collective bargaining are known as unions. These unions will help to ensure the proper treatment of employees by the employers and stand for the right of the employees. There are many debates going on regarding the difference between unionism and professionalism. Many argue that professionalism is different from unionism, as professionalism is aimed to protect the interest of the employer, whereas unionism stands for the benefit of the employees. Many engineering societies and codes restrict engineers from becoming a part of any union. These codes say that the participation in unions will affect the loyalty of the employees and as a result are unprofessional. So these codes restrict engineers from joining any union or participation in any strike, saying that it is impossible for an engineer to join a union and perform his professional duties at the same time. There are several arguments in favor and against the union. The first argument which favors the union is that unions will help to achieve the high salaries and earn a better living for the employees. And the second argument is that unions will ensure job security and protect employees from mistreatments. Third one is unions have the right to resist any orders by the authority which are unethical. And fourth point which support the union is that unions act as a counter force against any employee exploitation. But there are many arguments which are against the unions. The first one is unions will affect the economy of the country by influencing the labor forces. Second argument is that unions does not promote arguments of employees in person with the employers, thus giving less importance to an individual in collective bargaining. And the third point is unions result in a bad relationship between employees and employers.
Let's look at the term confidentiality. Confidentiality is the duty of an individual to abstain from sharing certain information. It is very important for a professional to protect certain information shared by the client. The confidentiality will help to develop trust. The ensuring of confidentiality will help the client to give all the necessary information openly. It is very important to get the client's permission before revealing certain information to a third party. Informed consent is very essential as far as the privacy of a client is concerned. The employees must ensure that all the information collected are securely stored. In certain situations, professionals such as doctors or attorneys might disclose certain information. Respect for client confidentiality must be the primary concern of all organizations. Now let's look at certain terms which an employee must be aware with regard to the confidential information. The first one is privileged information. Privileged information are the information available to an individual based on special privileges in an organization. This term is used synonymous with confidential information. This information includes the information which is not yet public and are not known in the organization. The second term is proprietary information. This term suggests the ownership. This information will be restricted within an organization and will prevent others from using it. The third term is trade secrets. Trade secrets of an organization will not be taken by the public, and the employers will be taking special measures to protect these secrets. These can include planned facilities, business plans, marketing strategies, etc. And the fourth term is patents. Patent will restrict others from using certain products without the approval of the owners.
Conflict of interest occurs when an individual faces a clash between his personal interest and professional duties. This conflict results from personal relationships, personal benefits, etc. There are three types of conflict of interest. The first one is actual conflict of interest. Actual conflict of interest refers to the failure of performing professional duties to an employer. For example, an engineer who purchases certain products from a manufacturer for his personal financial gain rather than the gain of his organization will result in a conflict. The second one is apparent conflict of interest. This type of conflict of interest will reduce the trust of the public in the industry. For example, a public official who gives contracts to a business that employs one of that official's relatives may only appear to be involved in a real conflict. The third one is potential conflict of interest. This conflict will corrupt moral judgment in future rather than the present situation. For example, the brother of a person starting a business in the same town might result in a conflict of interest in the future.
Here are some ways to avoid conflicts of interest. The first one is to follow company policy and laws. And in the absence of company policy, the employee can go for a second opinion. And the employee must examine one's own motives. And the fourth way to avoid conflict of interest is to follow the professional codes of ethics. And with that, we have come to the end of part 1 and let's meet in part 2. Thank you.